While Sydney Slee has lived in a suburb near Cleveland her entire life, she really has never truly seen all of the cool activities that the city has to offer. Now, on The Goats in Cleveland, Sydney will take you through the city to discover some of the areas that she thinks are the greatest of all time. Okay, who let the goat in studio be again? Hello and welcome to today's episode of The Goats in Cleveland. Since Earth Day is rapidly approaching, today's episode will be all about the nature of Cleveland. While Cleveland may not be known for its beautiful scenery, some of the parks and the nature aspects of the city are absolutely gorgeous and deserve to be appreciated and explored. Today's episode will focus on Cleveland Botanical Gardens, Euclid Beach, and the Metro Parks. I think it's time we head out to Cleveland and see the nature aspects that the city can offer. My first stop of the day was at Cleveland Botanical Garden. The Cleveland Botanical Garden was located on East Boulevard in the University Circle neighborhood. The Botanical Garden was founded in 1930 as the Garden Center of Greater Cleveland. It was actually the first organization of its kind in an American city. The center originally served to offer classes and workshops for gardeners. The center also spearheaded beautification projects within the community. As the center continued to grow and expand, in 1966, the Garden Center moved to its present location in University Circle. This was actually the site of the old Cleveland Zoo. In 1994, the organization's Board of Trustees changed the name to the Cleveland Botanical Garden. The primary reason for the name change was to reflect the alteration of its new mission statement. The new Cleveland Botanical Garden had launched an ambitious campaign to develop a facility that could support the increased program agenda. The Cleveland Botanical Garden needed to up expanding and improving and was opened to the public once again in July of 2003. The expansions cost $50 million. One of the most prominent aspects of this expansion is the Eleanor Armstrong Smith Greenhouse. This is a 17,000 square foot conservatory home to plant and animal life from two separate biomes. The biomes include Madagascar and Costa Rica. It features 350 species of plants and 50 animal species. One of the most prominent animals in the center are butterflies. Also, there are 10 acres of gardens in the Hershey Children's Garden, which is actually the first children's garden in Ohio. While Cleveland Botanical Garden may just seem like a Cleveland gem, the gardens were actually featured in the 5th season of an episode of Supernatural on national television. The episode was titled Dark Side of the Moon. Overall, I very much enjoyed my visit to the Cleveland Botanical Gardens. The ability to see the butterflies in the glass dome was amazing, and it made me feel so connected to nature. Even outside of the actual biomes, the activities within the garden were super entertaining and enjoyable. I definitely think a trip to the Cleveland Botanical Gardens is a must if you are visiting Cleveland. Out of all of the places I have visited throughout the entire series, I actually think this was my favorite. Shortly after visiting the Botanical Garden, I took a trip out to Euclid Beach. Out of all the places I have visited in Cleveland throughout the series, Euclid Beach definitely had some of the most prominent and interesting history behind it. The area that is now Euclid Beach was once a popular amusement park called Euclid Beach Park. The Euclid Beach Park was patterned after New York's Coney Islands, and the park was managed by William Ryan Sr. The park was run featured attractions like vaudeville acts, concerts, gambling, a beer garden, and sideshows, as well as a few amusement rides. The park eventually became owned by the Humphrey family, who began to expand the park. The Humphreys added the beach and bathing facilities, a new lakeside swing, and many new attractions. The Humphreys transitioned this park into a more family-friendly park and would not admit anyone who had consumed intoxicating beverages at any of the bars near the park. The Humphreys also only allowed children to wear shorts because they thought proper dress would lead to a more proper and family-friendly environment. One major controversial element to the Humphreys' ownership of Euclid Beach Park is that African Americans were only admitted on certain days in order to keep up a, quote, family-friendly atmosphere. Even when African Americans were allowed in the parks, they were not permitted to interact with the white park goers. This led to Euclid Beach Park being picketed and boycotted. The park eventually closed in the mid-1960s due to excessive financial problems. Despite the closing of the park, the Humphrey Company actually still continues to sell the popcorn and taffy products that were made famous during the prime years of this park. Euclid Beach now displays almost no remnants of it once being an amusement park. Overall, after researching the history behind the location, I was fascinated by Euclid Beach. Prior to beginning this project, I had actually never heard of Euclid Beach. I was even more surprised to find out all of the history behind Euclid Beach and the prominence of the location within the overall history of Cleveland. The final location that I chose to visit for the day was an area of the Cleveland Metro Parks. The Cleveland Metro Parks is an extensive system of nature preserves in greater Cleveland, Ohio. The Metro Parks consist of 18 reservations, which follow along the shores of Lake Erie. The network of parks spans over 23,000 acres and includes 300 miles of trails. The vision of the Cleveland Metropolitan Park System began as a vision from William Alfred Stinchcomb. Stinchcomb began to conceptualize an emerald necklace for the city in 1902. In 1913, Stinchcomb began to lobby to the Ohio legislature to amend the state constitution to permit the authorization of natural resource conservation at the county level in 1913. After much persuasion by Stinchcomb, the area was able to purchase reservations from just over 100 acres to over 9,000 within the span of a mere decade. Due to the free admission and essentially unlimited access during daylight hours, the Metro Parks have become an incredibly popular destination for Clevelanders who want to exercise and experience nature. The Metro Parks also feature some specifically cool areas like the Chalet, which I actually had the opportunity to visit. The Chalet features fun activities like tobogganing and a newer adventure activity called Go Ape. Go Ape is a self-guided 2 to 3 hour journey through a forest canopy. The course allows people to tackle dangling obstacles and explore new trees from a new perspective. The course offers multiple zip lines from exciting heights. This course is perfect for parties, corporate events, and for friends and family alike. Overall, I really enjoyed my trip to the Metro Parks. I always enjoy getting fresh air, and I truly believe that the Metro Parks are one of the most prominent hidden gems in Cleveland. I definitely think that I take the beautiful parks and the ability to connect with nature for granted, and it's definitely something that I would miss if I ever decided to move out of Cleveland. Exploring the nature of Cleveland was one of my favorite experiences throughout the entire series. I had the opportunity to explore a new area in Euclid Beach and learn more about the history behind an area that I already knew. I really hope you enjoyed this episode as well as the entire series of The Goats in Cleveland.